John, one of the things I've loved to hear from you, and it's related to all of this, a bit tangential, but it's tied to it, and I don't know anybody who says this sort of thing better. Let me throw you a softball, and I'm sure you'll bat it in the right direction. When people nowadays say, John, why is God so stuck on himself? Why does he want us to be humble and deny ourselves? Well, he wants to be glorified, and he wants to be number one. I mean, doesn't that reflect a certain kind of moral weakness? How are you going to answer that?
It does not reflect moral weakness.
Unpack it the way I've heard you unpack it before.
I'm trying to decide whether to start with the conclusion or build toward it. Let's start with the conclusion. God is the one being in the universe for whom self-exaltation is the highest virtue and the most loving act. Nobody can copy him in this. If I stand up in front of a group and say, now the reason I'm here is so that you will recognize my perfections and all bow down and praise me, everybody would leave the room. They should. They would regard me as sick, as megalomaniac, whatever. I'm sick. So if God stands there and says, I'm here to show you my perfections so that in the end you will all recognize them, enjoy them, and bow down, he's not sick. And very simple reason, he is infinitely perfect. He is stuck with being beautiful. He cannot deny himself. We must deny ourselves in order to have him. If he denies himself, he strips us of the one thing that satisfies our souls forever. So my answer, what makes it morally not only acceptable, but beautiful to the person who was originally stumbling over his megalomania, is that they begin to see that when Jesus prayed in John 17:24, Father, I desire that those whom you have given me may be with me where I am to see my glory. In anybody else, that would be absolute vanity. For Jesus, it's like saying, you like to watch Niagara Falls? You like to visit the Grand Canyon? I'll take you to one. It's me. And he's the one reality in the universe for which we were made, who will bring deepest and most ultimate satisfaction to our souls. So he has to draw attention to himself. He has to seek our praise. And so it is not vanity, it's not selfish, it's loving. And he's the only one who can love like that. We can't. If I try to love like that, then I'm distracting people from the very thing that will satisfy them. If he loves like that, he's attracting people to the very thing that satisfies them. So his self-exaltation and his love are the same reality. I think that discovery helps make sense out of hundreds of texts which call for his exaltation. I mean, here's an example. I love this one because I like the movie Richard V. Is that it? I'm saying it right?
You mean Henry V.
Henry V. So much for movies. Okay, Henry V, and it ends with them walking across the field. No nobis gloria. Not to us, O Lord, not to us, but to your name give glory. You know what the next phrase is? For the sake of your steadfast love and your faithfulness. Now you just think that through. Not to us give the glory. You get the glory for the sake of what? Our getting the love. It's the best of all universes. We are getting loved. He's getting all the glory. And he's getting all the glory in our recognizing that being loved is to be able to see him as glorious above all things. So I don't think I'm putting anybody in an awkward or defeated or unhappy position by saying that God is absolutely God-centered. It's the way he must be in order for us to be loved absolutely. Is that what you were after?
That's wonderful. Say it again and again. And this too is gospel-centered. It's God-centered.
Well, it's gospel-centered if. Now, let me just make a little confession here. I think in the last 8-10 years, I have gotten this better. I think I was too theocentric and not Christocentric enough early on. I think it was probably a necessary thing in my own discovery and for the church or whatever. But today I would go to 2 Corinthians 4:4 more quickly than I used to. That the apex of the glory of God is seen in Christ, and the apex of his glory is seen in the cross, and therefore to be God-centered leads to Christ-centered, leads to cross-centered. And if we don't go that way, it can, even a God-centered Piper-type talking can be skewed. And so the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ. I do want the glory that people are thrilled by, not to be just kind of a vague bigness called God, but rather some really concrete historical manifestations of his glory in the cross in particular.